We've been a leader in banking for more than 100 years. You'll find us here, at home, on your phone, and everywhere you go. Renaissance Bank. Understanding you. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Sponsored by Renaissance Bank.
Good morning and welcome to Daily Journal Newsbreak, sponsored by Renaissance Bank. Today is Monday, September 24th, and I'm your host, Elizabeth Walters. We're going to take a look at today's top news and sports stories across Northeast Mississippi, but first, a look at your weather forecast. Today we'll have an 80% chance of thunderstorms with a high around 82 and tonight's low around 72. And over the next 3 days we'll have more rain as we'll have another 80% chance of showers and thunderstorms on Tuesday with a high of 84 and a low of 71. Wednesday a 90% chance of thunderstorms with a high of 81 and a low of 63. And on Thursday mostly cloudy with a high of 80 and a low of 63. And now let's take a look at some of the weekend's top headlines. Residents of an apartment complex in Tupelo have 1 week left before the complex will be closed. In our Sunday story, we profiled a couple of tenants of the President's Gate apartment complex, and while both have found a new housing option, it didn't come without a struggle. Tupelo's number of rental units has risen over recent years and outpaces the state with respect to what share of the housing stock is made up of rental properties, but the rent can range from at least $800 to $1,000, which were not options for the individuals we spoke to. Ward 7 Councilman Willie Jennings has voiced opinions about the housing options in that area and fears that while the city has good intentions by demolishing these complexes that are poorly run, they're still squeezing low-income renters with fewer and fewer options. But there are developments on Mayor Jason Shelton's promise to give those renters better options. The city has entered into separate agreements with developers David Strange and Britton Jones to purchase property along Ida Street that were contingent on tax credits that have now been rewarded. And the Tupelo Development Services Director Shane Hopper said he expects the two developers will now move to exercise their purchase agreements, which could lead to the construction of about 80 new single-family homes in that area. And soon, water customers in Saltillo will have a better idea of how much the switch to river water will cost. When city officials first talked about the change to river water, they mentioned a $5 increase per household per month, but that cost could be higher as the city has received quotes for the work and the prices were higher than the original estimates. Under state law, the city has the authority to change utility rates for customers inside city limits and a mile or so less outside the city, but any increase for customers beyond that range must be approved by Public Service Commissioner Brandon Presley. Presley has kept an eye on the issue, so officials believe he will not delay the process. Three Rivers Planning and Development District has agreed to loan the city up to $425,000 at a 2% interest for 6 months to give the city working capital to begin to switch over and time to apply for a longer loan. United Blood Services has a new name that will take effect today. The Tupelo Blood Donation Center, along with 126 other centers across 40 states, will now be known as Vitalant. As an organization, the blood centers making up Vitalant are the second largest in the country, and the centers annually hold 30,000 mobile blood drives and welcome 780,000 to collect 1.8 million donations. The company decided to change the name after consulting with staff, donors, and community stakeholders to create a unified identity, and the company includes several other centers in addition to United Blood Services. And in sports, Mississippi State and Ole Miss will both face former coaches this weekend as the Bulldogs will host Florida and the Rebels will travel to LSU. This, of course, will be Dan Mullen's first time back in Starkville after leaving to join the Gators during the offseason. Both State and Florida have each lost to Kentucky, and the Bulldogs hope to get back in the win column after allowing the Wildcats running back Benny Snell Jr. to rush for 165 yards and 4 touchdowns. And the Rebels will face Ed Orgeron and the Tigers in the late game on ESPN, while Ole Miss has averaged 54 points and over 600 yards of offense in their 3 non-conference wins. They were held to just 7 points and 248 yards in their 1 SEC game. Ole Miss hopes to earn its first win over their former head coach as LSU won in Baton Rouge 38-21 in 2016 and 40-24 last year. Be sure to follow Logan Lowry and Parrish Alford for the latest from Starkville and Oxford throughout the week leading up to these games. And that does it for Newsbreak on this Monday. Don't forget that this show is just one of the many online offerings courtesy of the Daily Journal that gets you news off the page and on the go. Each story discussed today on Newsbreak can be found in your Daily Journal or online at djournal.com, where you can also find a new episode of Newsbreak each weekday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Walters. Have a great afternoon.